Crude oil advantages with no ego bandages. It's Rhyme and Reason 809.
There's a rhyme and reason for your life. There's a rhyme and reason why you're here.
Hey there, Tony here, and I'm going to be talking about mobile devices and triggers and advantages and all kinds of stuff. And as you might have noticed, I'd like to just jump right in, not give these long introductions and all this kind of stuff. I like to jump right in on what I'm going to be talking about. So instead of talking about how I like to jump in and without talking about it and everything like that, how about if I just go ahead, shut up. Okay. All right. Here's what I mean. I just love how I can charge up my mobile devices and take them with me and use them for hours without even plugging in. It's really, really cool. I mean, it'd be awful if I had to take a gas-powered generator with me everywhere. Can you imagine keeping it on, in the running mode while I'm trying to get my work done? You imagine a bunch of remote workers, let's say in coffee shops, trying to talk or even think over all that racket. Everybody's got their little generators over there. And then there's the whole, exhaust scent and odor and all that. But all that aside, there are some crude oil advantages big time over solar and wind power options, and they're significant. Just saying crude oil advantages, that triggers a lot of people right there. What? Crude oil advantages? What? It's solar and wind. Those are the ones that have the advantages. All right, let's think about this a little bit. Let's talk about this. Well, I'll talk and you listen. Anyway, I refer to people who've invested practically their whole intellect into the myth of fossil fuels. Those are the ones that get triggered when you say something like crude oil advantages. I mean, those are the same people who've invested their whole belief system into the millions of years myth. Yeah, millions and millions of years ago. Oh, yeah. What if I told you that scientists in the U.S. have worked out how to convert algae into crude oil in less than, not 60 million years, not 60,000 years, not 60 days, not 60 months, weeks, or days, or 60 minutes? What if I told you that U.S. scientists have worked out a way to convert algae into crude oil in less than 60 minutes? Seems to me like that'd be something a world that's myopically focused on the scarcity of resources should look into. Wouldn't you think so? Wouldn't you agree? But, maybe that's just me, I guess. It's not, by the way. There are a lot of scientists who have figured this out. They've figured out that it is doable, at least. They may not have all figured out, but anyway, they figured out that it is doable. And it turns out that they didn't make up that algae idea out of thin air. Here's a description I found of the process. Looking much like pea soup, a mixture of green algae and water is subjected to a temperature of 350 degrees Celsius. Now, that's a lot hotter than even 350 degrees that we know here in America. People around the world who say it's not hotter than 350 degrees because it's 350 degrees, because those people use Celsius and we don't. We use Fahrenheit, the real measure of heat. Anyway, they subject that algae and water to those kind of temperatures and pressure of 3,000 psi. Okay, that's per square inch pressure anyway. And that breaks the algae down into oil and gas. And the scientists learned that a mixture of up to 80 to 90% water made the best slurry, they call it, for the process out of the algae. So just like crude oil that comes out of the wells, that they currently are pumping, that resultant oil, what ends up coming from the algae, can be easily refined into aviation fuel, gasoline, diesel, and other products. And the gas can be converted to natural gas, and you can use that in household heating and cooking and powering cars, Does any of this sound familiar like what we do now with the other kind of oil? I mean, wow, 60 minutes to make crude oil that we could use to do all those things we currently use crude oil to do. If only an established news program would spread the news. Yeah, but who would that be? Let's see. Hey, 60 Minutes, that'd be a great one. You know, what a marketing bonanza they would have dropped in their lap, right? Oh, wait a minute, I forgot. They believe the evolution fairy tale. So even though they buy into that trust science mantra, and you have to put the quotes around trust science, they only trust evolutionary science, which is a fairy tale. So stop the presses already, okay? Evolutionary science claims it took millions of years to form from algae, plants, and other buried organic material to form that oil that we get. And that supposedly was the time required for the Earth's heat and pressure to turn it into crude oil. That's how much time it took. That's what they say. But according to non-evolutionary science, the right heat and pressure can form oil in ultra short time periods, like that 60 minutes that I mentioned. Naturally, that science also backs up the biblical account of a worldwide flood. Yep, so we can't have that. Can't do that, right? Can't go that direction. Wait a second, you're telling me that oil can be made from algae and water in 60 minutes. Right. What next thing you're going to be telling me there's a God, okay? And you start spreading that news and people, might actually, wait a second, maybe there is a God if they can actually make algae into crude oil. Kind of silly that people would think that, but there are probably some people who would think that. And we certainly can't have that, right? So, back to the crude oil advantages. Doesn't it make sense to take advantage of a process that could ensure our efficient crude oil-based technology and machinery runs on renewable energy? Everybody loves renewable energy, right? It turns out crude oil is renewable energy. And since we can grow algae and turn it into crude oil in ultra-short time periods, that makes it easily and efficiently renewable and affordable. There's the rub, right? Affordable and efficient and renewable crude oil. Oh, that would mean government couldn't take control of those individual liberties, right? With the flip of a switch, like they can do with all electric. And the control freaks in high places, no, they certainly can't have that now, can they? So, that journey toward hell in a handbasket continues. The saga continues for America and the world, but, whatever. At least we won't go there with an atmosphere filled with hydrocarbon emissions. We want to live in a fat-free environment, and we want to make sure the ozone is intact. And so we watch all those service commercials, and it's just so easy to sit back and react. Is it just melodrama for me to feel this way? I wonder, is it just me? Or does it all sound so cliche? Does it sound that way? So cliche? Does to me. Okay, I'll leave you with that. And as always, thank you for tuning in to the Rhyme and Reason podcast, where I say that life has rhyme and reason because God made you.
There's a rhyme and reason for your life. There's a rhyme and reason why you're here. Give your time and season to the